What's up, big baller shot callers? Big Ken here. Welcome from the Grid to the Rim Sports Talk Show. We have a lot of guests today. I'm always joined by my co-host and best friend Monty Brown.
What's up? What's up?
When we started this show last March for March Madness, but we have Dave and Kevin returning for a second or third time, and we have our new guest, Brandon. Welcome to the show, Brandon.
Thank you,
Welcome,
Ken.
Brandon.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Monty. Thanks, guys. Excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I love your Jets background too. I never figured out how you're
Yeah.
a Jets fan again when you came from North Carolina. You gotta explain that one to me again. I forgot about that. You told me that before, and I always forget.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to hear this real quick.
Yeah. I was originally born in upstate New York. I was a Cowboys fan at first because
Yeah.
my dad was. Yeah.
What do you mean was, man?
Well, when you're a kid, you don't have that like true fandom. So like when Emmett, Aikman, Irvin all went down, it wasn't the same. So that year we ended up moving from New York to North Carolina, and Dad bought me a Keyshawn Jets jersey for Christmas. So I just kind of stuck with that New York
Got
fandom.
you.
That's fair.
Right
That's
on.
cool.
I just wanted to mess with you, man.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the Jets. It's all
Yeah,
right.
man. Hopefully they bounce back next year. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Let's get into some highlights from last weekend. Man, all the games I thought were pretty good except for the first one, but even the Houston Baltimore game was good in the first half and was tied 10-10. But all those other games, man, it really came down to the wire, in my opinion. Really good games. I thought this has been a pretty good playoff so far with some pretty competitive games. What's your guys' take on the games? I think most has been pretty good from what I see. What you guys got any thoughts on that?
Well, man, Kevin, I was thinking about you, man. You had a bold prediction there. I was like, man, that first round, that first half rather, it looked good, but man, Baltimore was Baltimore, and Houston just wasn't ready yet. That's all. I mean, man, Stroud played his heart out. Played actually a good game, I think. Just Lamar played better. Threw for two, ran for two. I mean, what can you do? He's got to be your MVP. And Baltimore's loaded, man, and they were just too much, just a little bit too much.
Yeah, I thought going into halftime, I was like, "Oh man, the upset is still alive." But
Yeah, you texted me that.
yeah, but Baltimore, they woke up at halftime and made the corrections, and they just shut them down. They just couldn't get it done.
Yeah, the Houston punt returner got the first punt return touchdown for Houston Texans history in a playoff game, and it's the first time anyone in the NFL has ran a punt return back in a playoff game since 2013. So it's been a long time coming. So that was pretty cool. Then that tied the game. That's where the upset was on, like you said, Kevin. I thought, man, this could be an interesting second half, but unfortunately, it didn't pan out like that in the second half. But I have some stats for the Houston Baltimore recap, and we could talk about that a little bit. So, like Monty alluded to, Lamar Jackson had 2 rushing TDs and 2 passing TDs, so he accounted for all 4 touchdowns in the game. Baltimore completely dominated in the running game, 229 rushing yards for the game compared to only 38 rushing yards for Houston. That was Houston's kind of problem, was they were like completely one-sided. They couldn't rush the ball. I think that, of course, Baltimore already has a really good defense, and I think that made the defense even easier for Baltimore because when you couldn't run the ball, this new pass was always coming. They couldn't do too much about that, and like we all already kind of said, like Baltimore woke up in the second half and they scored 3 straight touchdowns in a row to basically ice the game. But Lamar Jackson's passing stats was what I got here. Well, he ran the ball for 11 times for 100 yards at 2 TDs, and he was 16 out of 22 for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. The leading receiver was Zach Flowers, 4 receptions, 41 yards. C.J. Stroud for Houston was 19 out of 33, 175 yards. Singletary, the running back, only had 9 carries, 22 yards. Like I said, they didn't do much. Nico Collins was their best receiver, 5 receptions, 68 yards. But that's crazy. Lamar Jackson had 100 yards rushing and 2 TDs rushing and passing in the game. He had the first half it was suspect, and people were already talking before the game, is Lamar Jackson finally going to answer this playoff thing? Because he was only 1-3, like I said last week. If he went to 1-4, I thought that might be calling him another Dak Prescott or something if he doesn't win another playoff game here soon. But he won, and he won big time in the second half. They really recovered. What do you got on that, Brandon? What do you think about that game? Did you see that game?
Yeah, I watched it. I'd have to echo pretty much what you guys just said. Houston, they have the basis to be a good team right now. They got their quarterback, they got their coach, they got some fast linebackers. But Baltimore, they've been here. They're well coached. Lamar's had a great season, really controlling the tempo on offense all year, running, passing. So it was just Baltimore's defense shutting them down, and basically Ravens controlling the tempo the whole second half on offense.
Yeah, they dominated second half. Dave, you got anything on that? Dave or Kevin?
I totally agree with Brandon. I mean, Houston's going to be good for the next several years. You know, first year coach, first year quarterback. Baltimore just had too many weapons, too much on the defensive side of the ball. You know, that's Baltimore's defense, number one defense for the. You know, they showed why.
Yeah.
Against Houston, they just shut down the running game and made Stroud try and beat them, and you know, Stroud's not at that point yet.
Yeah, they're really physical on both sides of the ball. That's the thing I noticed early in the season and the last game was, man, they're really physical. they hit and they get after it. They all chase the ball, man. They're really fast. Kevin, you got anything on the game?
Yeah, I mean that Ravens team is going to be a tough team to beat. If they can play defense the way they did against the Chiefs coming up here, they're going to be a real hard team to beat.
Yep, and I believe they're hosting their first AFC Championship game in quite some time. I don't know if it's the first time ever or it's I know it's been a long time. It might be the first time ever they've actually hosted an AFC Championship game, I believe, because a couple times when Ray Lewis was on the team, I don't think they hosted the AFC Championship games. They went to the Super Bowl a couple times with Ray Lewis, so that's another interesting stat as they're hosting their first one. So that's crazy. But yeah, we'll see if Lamar wins this game. I think the playoff monkey is already partially off his back, but I think if he wins this next game, the playoff monkey will be off his back. If he gets to the Super Bowl, I think it'll pretty much silence. Well, it'll never completely silence critics, but it'll silence them for a while. But if he loses, it might be right back on him having a 2 wins and 4 loss record. I mean, I think he needs to try to win as many as he can this year to kind of like just even out his record in the playoffs.
Yeah, he'll silence him if he wins it, but I think if he gets there and loses, that'll also silence him. Just get there. I think
I agree. He needs to get there. If he gets there, I think that'll do a lot. I agree. Packers 49ers game. Man.
Oh.
Jordan Love played good for 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, he tanked. I was upset. That was an upset I thought was going to happen. Oh my God! I thought that game was close, man. Field goal kickers had a bad weekend this weekend for a couple teams. Green Bay's field goal kicker was one of them. Missed a kick that would put them up by 7 points. So the best that San Francisco could have done was just try to tie the game and get to overtime. But then it ended up giving them the lead and they won the game. So yeah, that missed kick. Obviously one play doesn't win or lose a game, but that missed kick was huge. It hurt bad. And then I didn't expect Jordan Love. I didn't know if Jordan Love would get down the field goal range, but I didn't expect him to throw an interception as early as he did. He threw. I don't know why he even threw that pass. He could have thrown it away and it would have been 2nd and 10 with plenty of time left. But I don't know what he was thinking. I guess in his internal clock, it was just speeding up because he knows it's the end of the game and it's a big game, and he just tries to sling the ball across the field, and everyone knew that ball was getting intercepted, thrown across his body across the field. I don't think that ever works out.
No, absolutely not.
They teach that in high school. Don't do it.
Yeah, and he did it, but I think he just felt the pressure. But he's had a pretty good playoff run too. Obviously, me and Monty are disappointed from last week, and Dave and Kevin were laughing at us. He beat the crap out of the Cowboys, played lights out. And like I said, he played good for 3 quarters, but that fourth quarter, that's when he threw his 2 interceptions. He had 2 touchdown passes, but he also had 2 picks, and they were both in the second half, I believe, and the last one at the end of the game. So it was unfortunate. And the stats for that game was Jordan Love was 21 out of 34, 194 yards, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. Our boy Aaron Jones had another good game. 5 5 back-to-back, 500-yard rushing games in a row, 18 carries, 108 yards. He came back with a vengeance after being hurt most of the season to finish it off really well, having a great end of the season. And Mr. Dobbs was their leading receiver again, 4 receptions, 83 yards. Brock Purdy was 23 out of 39, 252 yards, 1 TD. I thought he got lucky not throwing a couple interceptions. Green Bay Packers defenders had it right in their hands and they dropped it. That could have changed the game also. They would have picked him off a couple times.
They had a pick 6 in his hands.
Yeah. I was like,
Yes.
dude, that kept him in the game when they were kind of like slipping a little bit. And McCaffrey had a decent game. He had 17 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the winning touchdown in the closing minute. And George Kittle was their lead receiver, 4 receptions, 81 yards, 1 TD. Monty, what's your take on the game? I was disappointed, but it was a very good game. It was a very good game. Probably the best one of the weekend.
Well, against a team like San Francisco, well, first of all, let me touch on how Green Bay moved the ball pretty much at will that first half, the first 3 drives. I mean, they did what they wanted. Like you talked about, kid. Aaron Jones just ran his tail off. I mean, not too many running backs have done that to San Francisco. But there's a big problem with that. They didn't score touchdowns. 2 field goals in the field, 2-point conversion, and along with that interception, to me, that was the key there. I mean, they could have won that game by 2 scores, I believe, if they would have capitalized. And I think that was the key there.
Yeah, I agree. What's your take on it, Kevin?
I mean, I really thought the way that first half went, the Green Bay was just going to run away with it. They could like Monty was saying, they were just running the ball at will. They were just gashing that 49ers defense, and it seemed like they weren't going to be able to stop them at all. Every time they got the ball, they would run 20-30 yards up the field. But then I think the difference in that game was when was it Ayuk got hurt?
Yeah. Oh no, not Ayuk. The other guy.
Debo. When Debo got hurt, that really kind of that changed that 49ers offense, and it I think is what led to it being such a tight game.
Yeah, absolutely. You got anything on that, Dave?
Very disappointing. That's 49er haters.
Yeah, I know you guys don't like the 49ers being Seahawks fans, and me and Monty don't either being Cowboys fans. Big rivalries of both teams.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised how close it was, actually, to be honest with you. I thought, I mean, the way Green Bay played, the previous week, against Dallas, I felt San Francisco would be a much tougher game for them to even stay close with. But they kind of showed the weakness of the Niners defense. I mean, most of the year has been running them all. Their run defense isn't all that great. Their stats are good because teams are always playing from behind.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're passing instead of running, but when teams they can stay close or get a lead and run the ball, that liability shows on their defense. So Jordan Love reminded me a little bit of another strong arm Green Bay Packer, who used to gamble, with Brett Favre throwing it when he threw that ball. It's like, no.
Everyone knew it. Everyone knew it. Like, no.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no. The minute he threw it, I thought, oh, this isn't going to be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would have liked to see them hold on to the ball a little bit longer and, even run out of bounds or something. Just, don't throw across your body.
Yeah, it was 1st and 10. They just got a first down, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he even said afterwards it was stupid. Everything the mortal sin. So, it's a lesson learned for him. Another young quarterback in getting in a divisional round game. But yeah, Green Bay's going to be set too. For a while with him there. So.
Oh yeah, they have young wide receivers. They got Aaron Jones. They have a squad. They got
Yeah.
some really good players.
So, but it was a little disappointing at the end. Just like you said, Ken. If that field goal goes, through the uprights, then be interesting to see what Kyle Shanahan would have gone for two or not.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me that Green Bay stuck with that young kicker in going into the playoffs when he was
Mhm.
having so many problems in the regular season
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he missed the most kicks in the NFL, I believe. Yeah, he had a really
Yeah.
rough rookie year.
I think extra points as well. So
Yeah, he missed
Yeah.
a lot of kicks. Yeah, he was really up and down all year.
Yeah.
What's your take on it, Brandon? You watched that one
Yeah.
also?
Yeah, I got it. It was one thing that surprised me, just how well the Packers defense played. They
Yeah.
stopped the weapons that the Niners had. It just disappointing that it came down to a missed field goal and just some bad decisions in the end. One thing I noticed though between these Saturday games, Ravens cold first half and Niners cold first half, having this bye week isn't going to play in your favor all the time, especially when you come up against a red hot team.
Yeah,
that really showed
absolutely.
this. It really showed
Good.
Saturday.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. Yeah, the bye weeks can help you sometimes with injuries, like getting people healed, but it does kind of mess up your timing, like you said, and you see them always come out flat in the
Yep.
first half. Yeah, because other teams been playing, and like I said, they're hot. They just come off a big win, and you're just trying to get it going again, and yeah, sometimes it takes a while to get started, man. Wow. Yeah, good game though. I was like we all said, it was just disappointing. I think most of us wanted the Green Bay Packers to win. Next game, Bucs and Lions. Another really good game. Another game that came down to the end. I don't know why. Ask me this before I get into the stats. Why this? I thought this dude was crazy. Why in the hell did the Bucs coach go for a 2-point conversion? He didn't need to do that. I was like, what are you doing? Because
Yeah.
just kick
Why
extra
do you
point
do
and be
that when
down
you're
by
down
7.
2
Now
scores still?
you're down by
Yes.
8. You even get a touchdown. You still got to try to get a 2-point conversion just to tie the game to go in overtime. You may not get it. I was like,
Yeah.
what is he thinking? I was like, what? Oh my God, that
Agreed.
drove me nuts. I was like, dude. I
Well,
don't
that's one of those where you start to see the influence of the analytics, kind of like the sabermetrics in baseball, but moving into football where they start
Mhm.
analyzing it. They kind of were talking about it, how the percentages work out to where it makes sense to
Yes.
go for it, but game sense doesn't tell you that that makes sense. Like,
Right.
but if you're gonna try to go for the win, go for the win at the end. Don't go for the win before you're close.
yeah.
You still got 2 scores, like you were saying, Ken. You still got to shut that gap before you can think about going for the win.
Yeah, that was nuts. I couldn't believe he did that. You know, unfortunately, Baker Mayfield did the same thing Jordan Love did. They got the ball back with a chance to still get in, maybe get a 2-point conversion. They're down by 8. They lost 31-23, and they did get the ball back. And I thought he might be able to do it, but he was just like Jordan Love. It like 2 or 3 plays into the drive, he threw a pick pretty
Okay.
fast, and it was
Mhm.
game over. So, but Mayfield did have a good game overall. Both quarterbacks played well. That was a really exciting game. Also, like I said, most of these games are really good coming down to the last drive of the game. Baker Mayfield was 26 out of 41, 349 yards, 3 TDs. He did have 2 picks. He had that early one, like very early in the first quarter, and then the last one to end the game. And then White had a decent game, run the ball, 9 carries. Can't read my handwriting, but I think it was like 55 yards.
55 yards, yeah.
Yeah. Mike Evans had a nice bounce back game. He had an off game in the wild card game, dropping a couple of easy passes he normally catches, but he had a really strong performance. 8 receptions, 147 yards, 1 TD. He came up big like he always does. Jared Goff was 30 out of 43, 287 yards, 2 TDs. I think the biggest thing to take away is he threw no interceptions, like Mayfield did. So he had no picks for the game. Gibbs, the rookie running back from Alabama, was a leading rusher, 9 carries, 74 yards, 1 TD. And Amon St. Brown, who we were all talking about last week, is continuing to be a beast. 8 receptions, 77 yards, 1 TD. Like Amon St. Brown is a freaking monster.
Well, not only that, but the times that those catches came, were third downs to move the chains and keep them going where it looked like their drive was going to stall out and they were behind because of penalties and things like that, and he would come up big for them.
Yeah, what I took away from the game before I passed you guys was the Lions got off to a fast start in the first half, but then they kind of tailed off in the second, and the Bucs were coming on. The Bucs were coming on strong in the second half to make it a game, but the Lions got off to a really quick start in that game. What's your take on the game, Monty?
This is the game that I saw the least of. I think I woke up and I work night, John, in case you didn't know, but I caught the last 5 minutes of that game. So really don't have much of a take on it. But one thing I do want to mention is this. I know he threw an interception, but how about Baker Mayfield's maturity this season compared to how he's been in Cleveland? I'm impressed. I think he's found a home in Tampa Bay. He led this team from. I don't think anybody expected this team to go to the playoffs. I didn't. So overall, I'm proud of him. I'm a fan of his. I like how he plays. He can be a bonehead and have that Brett Favre syndrome like we were talking about earlier and trying to make a play, of course. But I like how he's matured.
Yeah, absolutely. He had a really good year. I agree. What's your take on it, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying last week, I think that Baker's one of those. One thing I really appreciate about him is that he takes ownership of any faults that happen in the game. And again, he came through and took it on his shoulders, and he's going to learn from it, and he's going to push that team harder next year. So this won't be the last time we see Baker and the Bucs in the playoffs.
Yeah, he got his second playoff win the week before. So yeah, he's got 2 playoff wins, that's nice to always have his second one under your belt. What's your take, Dave?
Yeah, I love the way Detroit came out. I mean, just kind of dominated that first half.
Yeah, they did.
It's the one thing that was curious was at the end of the game, I could not figure out why Detroit snapped the ball so quick, and B, why Tampa Bay didn't use their last time out.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
they could have got the ball back with 20 seconds or so left, or force, either have Detroit kick the ball or try it in 47 or some odd yard field goal. If they miss, which I don't think they would have done, kick the field goal. But knowing Campbell, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, that was just kind of peculiar.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's a good point, Dave. Yeah, that was ending.
I mean, they could have got the ball back with a little bit of time. Sure, with no timeouts. But I mean, last year we saw, or was it last year or 2 years ago, we saw Kansas City score with 13
seconds. Yeah, always breaking Buffalo's heart. I know Brandon enjoys that.
I do.
What's your take on the game, Brandon? Because I know you're texting me back and forth about you're glad to see Buffalo lose. So, that's the next game. But what's your take on the Lions game? I'm sorry, I'm jumping games here.
Yeah.
So I got a lot to say about Kansas City Buffalo for sure.
But, yeah, I know you do. Saving the best for last.
This game kind of went as expected. Kansas City, I'm jumping ahead too. Detroit got the win. Bucs did show up. Bucs defense was very, I want to say bend but don't break, but there's so much firepower Detroit has to score that they did all they could. Detroit doesn't have the strongest defense. Bucs went down the field, but they made the big stops when they needed to. So Baker looks good. Bucs have their quarterback at least next year. He's played very well, but to help Baker out, you have an O-line that's pretty good, and you got those 2 receivers on the ends. It's a lot easier to play better too.
Absolutely, yeah. Mike Evans, and then number 14, I know his name, but really good receiver out of Penn State. Yeah, they both had really good careers, especially Mike Evans. We're talking about Mike Evans has a crazy stat. 10 years in a row, he's had 1,000-yard receiving yards in 10 seasons, all 10 seasons in the NFL, which is pretty freaking amazing. Yeah. The consistency of that is just unreal, man. I mean,
he's a
stud. You gotta be healthy. And what's that, Dave?
He's a stud.
Yeah, he is, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hall
he's
of Fame
healthy and he
rookie.
produces every game. He stays
Yeah.
healthy. He always gets big catches down the field, and he's a huge red zone threat. Being
Yes.
6'5" and being 200+ pounds, the dude's big. He could play box out basketball down the red zone. So yeah, he's a good player. All right, man. Let's get to the game that Brandon's waiting for.
Brandon,
The Chiefs and the Bills. Oh my God. My takeaway in the game is the Bills, just like Detroit, got off to a fast start in the first half, but man, their offense tanked in the second. They couldn't do much in the second half, that was for sure. Had a chance in the end, but then they stalled out again, getting in the field goal range, and we know what happened to the kicker. And that's not the first time in Buffalo Bills history that a kicker has missed a huge kick for them. So yeah, the Bills just can't get this curse off their back. Like I've always said before, they're a lot like the Cowboys. Yes, Josh Allen has a little bit better of a playoff record in the playoffs. He wins all of his wild card games, and Dak hasn't won as many games as he has. But neither one of them have got past the divisional round, and that's still Josh Allen's curse, is not getting past the divisional round, just like Dak. But he's been there a lot more often than Dak has, because he always wins the first round game, it seems like. Mahomes played well. His stats were 17 out of 23, 215 yards, 2 TDs. Isaiah Pacheco, back-to-back really good games, 15 carries, 97 yards, 1 TD. He's run like a beast. He runs hard. He runs fast. I just like how hard he runs. That dude,
yes.
he's got a motor, man. And Travis Kelce, of all guys, was finally the leading receiver and had 5 catches, 75 yards, and 2 big touchdown catches. And he hadn't had a touchdown catch, I think, in several games, which is very unlike Travis Kelce, but he wasn't having the greatest year. Josh Allen was 26 out of 39, 186 yards, 1 TD. He was a leading rusher, which isn't surprising, 12 carries, 72 yards, 2 TDs. And Dalton Kincaid, the rookie tight end, again, was their best receiver 2 weeks in a row, 5 receptions, 45 yards. Yeah, the Chiefs just play a lot better second half, and they have the experience, and they just know how to win in the playoffs, man. Like they always seem to come alive at the right time. It's always in the playoffs. And now I'll give it to Brandon. What is your takeaway, Brandon? I know you've been dying for this.
I really wanted to be here last week if I wasn't sick, because I was going to tell you what can go wrong will go wrong. That is the Buffalo Bills way, and it is going to continue to be that way. I feel like they Kansas City came out ready. They did not want to hold the ball. They want to exploit those injuries with Milano out and Trey White out, and they did. And they used the run to just launch the ball downfield, to have quick possessions, to get in field goal range and kick it. Buffalo held possession, constant dump off passes, running constantly down the middle, using Allen's legs, something they try to seem to avoid doing, but do when they need to most of the time. So this was just the Buffalo way. That DeMar Hamlin play was absolutely bizarre. I could not believe they pulled that.
Yeah, the punt, the fake punt. They did not need to do that. But I think they were that desperate on offense at that point where they thought like they wouldn't get the ball back or something. They were really getting desperate on offense, I thought.
DeMar Hamlin's not even that great of an athlete to be quick enough to run that play. I mean, the Jets did that to them the week 1 when it was 4th and 1 though, when they were just inside the 50. But that was shocking, and they're lucky enough that fumble had bounced out of bounds when Micah Hyde swatted up.
Oh yeah, we were going back and forth on that. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That
one
I was
angle.
Like, touchback.
I did not want that, but yeah. Kansas City, they're pretty lucky, but you had the right opponent to be lucky against.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like I said, it seems like they played one of their best offensive games of the year last Saturday or Sunday. So they played really well offensively overall.
Yeah.
What's your takeaway, Monty?
I expected a good game, and it was. I did expect Buffalo to win by, like we talked about last week, running the ball. I believe Allen was their leading rusher.
Yep.
Running back was able to run it a little bit, but they didn't stick with it. They got cute. And against Patrick Mahomes, man, you gotta play your game. I think if they would have stuck with their game plan, they would have won that game.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, they always
Oh.
try crazy stuff. You're right. Yeah, they didn't work out. What's your takeaway, Kevin?
Yeah, I think like Monty said that I think the Bills got a little too cute and got away from what they were doing that was working in the first half.
Yeah.
And then the other thing with this game, I think it was a game of attrition, and the Bills defense just couldn't hang on. They just kept losing key
No.
players up the middle, and that's what you saw is that they just got physically beat, and they were just worn out from the season.
Yeah. Yeah. Their defense was already banged up going into the game. Then they had more injuries during the game. They were really beat up. Yeah, they couldn't hold them. I was surprised they actually got a couple stops at the end of the game. They even get the ball back. I was surprised they stopped it, but I was
Yeah,
like, wow.
yeah, they just got bodied.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your takeaway, Dave?
So first of all, I'll eat a little crow because I picked both these Sunday games to be 2-score games,
Oh,
which
you did
obviously
say
they
that.
weren't.
That's right. I wasn't gonna call you out, but I'm glad you called yourself out.
Yeah, I told you I'd call myself out if
Yeah.
that was the case. So, um, yeah, I think Buffalo just. I'm not going to say panicked, but they got desperate and was looking for all sort of creative ways to figure
Yeah.
out how to move the ball. Kansas City's defense, played quite well. They've got a lot better defense than they have in the past.
Oh yeah, that's been their biggest strength the past couple of years. How much they've improved on defense. Before it was all offense, like shootouts. Now they can actually play defense. Yeah.
Yeah, and just it's just. I mean, I tired of Kansas City being there all the time,
Yeah.
but Mahomes and Reed, they just find a way to figure it out, no matter
Yeah.
how bad they've been playing.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to at the end of the game, look up at the scoreboard and see them on top.
Mm-hmm.
In these crunch games, these high pressure games. So that didn't surprise me when that happened. When it stayed close. I thought, well, Buffalo's done because you know, like Brandon said earlier. I mean, wide right hit him again. So
Yeah. Yeah, like KC's turning into like Alabama college football. They always just seem to keep on getting there, and that's why
Yeah.
some people want to see them fall. They want to see new blood. But yeah, they've been there a lot lately. I don't know how many years in a row they've won their division, but I know it's up there. And how many games in a row has Patrick Mahomes been to the AFC Championship game? I know it's seems like almost this whole entire decade. It
this
seems
is like 6 year in a row, I believe.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's just
So.
always there, man. He's like Alabama of college football now, and he's like the Chicago Bulls back in the '90s with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. There's always there, man. That's what they got going on for themselves right now. They have a dynasty going, that's for sure.
Seeing Mahomes and Kelce on every commercial break of every game doesn't help either. So
No, it does not.
Nope.
Yeah.
You want
Yeah.
the Nuggets? Whatever he says. Yeah, I love that commercial, man. They're always on that Allstate commercial stuff.
Yep.
Oh my God. But yeah, Josh. Oh, let's talk about Travis Kelce's brother, Jason Kelce, shirtless up in the stands, hanging out with Taylor Swift.
Was something.
But I think
did you see that?
I think he was hanging out with the Buffalo Bills fans, like drinking beer with them, was completely shirtless in like 20-degree
Yeah.
weather. He's freaking crazy, but he's a really big guy, of course. I mean, he was having a good time, and
Yeah.
he's retiring. That kind of surprised me, but he is a couple years older than his younger brother in Kansas City. The article I read was it said he just said he can't get ready for Wednesdays anymore because I guess after the game on Sunday, Mondays they watch film. They don't practice, but they watch film together. Tuesdays they're off. They're completely off. It's like their day to do whatever they want. And then Wednesdays they go back to practice for the first practice of the week with getting ready for the Sunday game. And he said he can't get ready for he just feels like he can't get ready for Wednesdays anymore. Like it's getting harder and harder. So he knew it was time to hang up the cleats. But I don't like
Uh,
Philadelphia. Me and Monty and you guys all know that. I can't stand the Eagles, but I do like the Kelce brothers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sad to see
Oh,
him go, but he's had a good career. They seem to be a class act, so never hear anything bad about them outside of football. So congratulations to him on his retirement. I know he's married, got kids, so probably want to spend some time with the fam. All right, man.
yeah. Back to Jason real quick. The greatest story that I loved though was when he told, I don't know if you've heard it, he told his wife that he's going to go shirtless and jump out into the stands.
Really?
Yeah, and his wife said, "Don't you dare." He says, "I'm not asking permission. I'm just giving you a warning, and said, I'm going to be doing this."
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't know that. That's a funny story.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into the conference championship games, gentlemen. Let's talk about the AFC first, since that's the first game at noon, our time, West Coast time. Chiefs and Ravens at the Ravens. Like I said, Ravens hosting their first one. Brandon, who do you think is going to win this game?
And I'm gonna have to go with the Ravens. I think the Ravens take care of them by at least 10 points. I'm
Oh,
gonna play that
okay.
spread.
Wow.
It's the way that the Chiefs played Allen and the Bills. They respected the deep ball, and if you look at how they played against the Dolphins, they did not respect the deep ball, and they were trapping every screen pass. They were ready for every run. But I don't know how the Chiefs are going to play Lamar, because when you play the run, they still run on you.
Mhm.
But when they set up the run to use the pass, and they've got such fast receivers, I don't see them covering. And the Chiefs don't have any linebacker that's fast enough to cover Lamar if those linebackers can't spy on Allen. So I see the Ravens controlling the ball, stopping them on defense. This is not a strong Chiefs offense in the past, and
Mhm.
I think they're actually going to be able to blitz Mahomes because they're so fast at linebacker. Queen and Roquan Smith can cover the middle of the field just themselves. They don't need a third linebacker with those two.
Good prediction. Yeah, I like that. That's a real good prediction. What do you got, Monty?
Well, I expect this game to go back and forth, high scoring. I do have Baltimore winning it, not by much, maybe not by 10 points. I'd like them to win by the spread, which is 4 points. Um, they're going to run the ball. Lamar is going to run the ball. I expect to see Mahomes launching it to Kelce, those receivers. Might see a couple of drop passes, might see a couple of tipped drops for interceptions. On the Baltimore's end, I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Over under, I would think one. I think that could happen. And I think that's what's going to cost Kansas City the game.
Okay.
Good high scoring game with a crucial turnover at the end.
Okay. What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with Monty. I don't see it being quite 10 points. It could, but I think it's gonna be a close game. It's gonna come down to the wire. It's gonna be decided in the fourth quarter, but I think overall the Ravens defense is gonna be able to hold out, and Lamar Jackson will be able to shut it down.
What about you, Dave?
Well, I'm going to go against the trend. It looks like. I just think that uh, Mahomes and his experience, he's been there. I know this is only his second road playoff game, but uh, I just think that they're going to be able to somehow solve that uh, Baltimore defense. And like I said earlier, Kansas City's defense is stronger than it has been in the past, even though their offense is, not as strong. But I just see them having enough firepower to score a little bit more than Baltimore. I don't think it's going to be too high scoring of a game. I'm kind of looking like, I don't know, 2017-ish or so, but uh, I think they're just going to have enough just to get it through.
All right, Dave. I'll go with you, so you won't be the only one. I've been debating about this all week. But I do agree with what Brandon said. Baltimore is really good on both sides of the ball. They don't have the linebackers to cover like the Baltimore linebackers do on the Kansas City side, but like you said, Dave, they still are really good on defense, and they're much better on defense. And my thing is this? It really comes down to Lamar Jackson. If Lamar Jackson plays well, I think Baltimore will win this game. But if he doesn't, then I think Kansas City will win because I'm wondering if it's going to be too big for Lamar, and I don't think it will, but it could be. He is playing at home. I think he's got more pressure on him than Mahomes does, honestly. I think he's got way more pressure than Mahomes. Mahomes already has 2 rings. He's trying to get a third one. I think Lamar's got all the pressure. So it really comes down to Lamar Jackson. But if he doesn't throw interceptions, if he doesn't get wild. So, yeah, I'll pick Kansas City, but it's going to be close. I'll pick Kansas City just because, like Dave said, because of Patrick Mahomes' experience, Travis Kelce's experience, Andy Reid's experience as a coach. So I'll go with that, but I would not be surprised if Baltimore does win this game like Kevin, Monty, and Brandon all said. But I think it's going to be low scoring, too. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. So let's get into the next one. Lions at 49ers. Everyone and their brother wants the Lions to win to get their first ring. Everyone wants them to win. Everyone at work is talking about it. Everyone wants the Lions to win. So I guess I'll start with Brandon again. Who do you think will win this game, Brandon? Lions or 49ers?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I obviously, I want the Lions to win. The Lions' strength of their offense is their run game, and look like the Niners have a weak run defense. So, but that you look at that Niners offense and their firepower can
Yes.
kind of the weakest defense in the playoffs right now is Detroit's. Can they hold?
That's a good point.
It looks like there's no Deebo Samuel. So it's Juwan Johnson, Ayuk. I think the Niners pull it out, though. I do. As much as I want to see Detroit win, I think it's going to be a close game, and Detroit isn't going to have enough defensively to stop the Niners.
Yeah, and they're playing at the 49ers also. They're not playing at home like they had the first 2 weeks of the playoffs. So that's another interesting point. Monty, who do you got?
Man, I'd love to pick with my head on this one and go with Detroit, but man, it's San Francisco's is too much. Team practically has no weakness. They have the linebackers. They have the best running back in the league. And you got Deebo said, well, Deebo's not going to play. Is that official?
I don't know if that's official now, but he did get hurt early in last week's game, which the 49ers did suffer like we talked about during last week's game. Yeah.
I'm sure he might find a way to get into that game for sure. He doesn't want to miss this game unless it's serious. But man, as much as I like Detroit, they have the running back, linebacker Hawkinson's very good. But yeah, the weakest part is their defense, like it was mentioned. And San Francisco's offense can match that defense, and that's what's going to be the strength there. So I have San Francisco winning, unfortunately. Let's go with Detroit, though.
Yeah. What do you got, Kevin?
Yeah, as much as I would like to say that I'm rooting for the Lions, which I'm rooting for them, but I don't think that they're going to be able to survive the Niners. Niners are playing at home. They're a good team, and they find a way. That they've got a week to figure out how to fill that void of Deebo being out if he is truly out. So they'll find a way to scheme and match that up. Shanahan he's an offensive genius when it comes to running that team. So they'll find a way. Looks like weather is not going to be an issue at all. It's supposed to be like 70 degrees at game time and no rain in sight, so we won't see a wet ball like we did last week. But I've got to say, I think the Niners are going to come out, but I think it's going to be close. It's going to be a 1-score game.
Okay.
All right.
What do you got, Dave?
Well, last week I went with my head instead of my heart, and I picked the Niners. This
Mhm.
time I'm going with both. So I'm going to pick the Lions. I just think their running game's going to keep the Niners offense off the field enough.
That's
Mm.
key.
And I don't know. I have Brock Purdy's had a great year, but seeing an article today where he admits he's nervous going into this game, it's like,
Yeah, that's not good.
Mm.
as a
Puts a
professional, you
balance
don't want to be
himself.
saying that.
Yeah,
I
Can I
mean,
change my pick?
Yeah.
we,
I don't
we
know.
know
That was
we
horrible.
know that they are, but you don't come out and say it.
You don't say it. Of course you
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
Mm.
So but yeah, I just think the Lions have enough of good enough rushing attack to go ahead and keep the Niners off the field.
Yeah, they
And
got the
it,
two-headed monster.
even if, I mean, I know Goff's stats are a lot better at home than they are away,
Yeah.
as are typically most quarterbacks, but he's familiar with, Santa Clara. So
Mm.
when he played for the Rams, he's been there
That's
several
true. That's
times.
true. Very good
So
point. He did play in the NFC
it's not
West.
going to be a
Right.
foreign environment for him.
yeah, he
Yeah.
knows that stadium.
He's just going to have to eliminate turnovers, and be smart with the ball. And if he does that, I think that they'll have a great shot to pull it out. I expect it to be a fairly mid-range scoring game. I can see it being in the, high mid-20s, 28, 24, or something like that.
Yeah, they can score. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a hard one for me too, kind of like Brandon. I have a hard time making this choice. I think like everyone else, I want Detroit to win because never been a Super Bowl. You think about, their old running back who never got to the Super Bowl, who's been there for all their playoff games this year. Yeah, all their bad years, man.
Barry Sanders.
Yes.
Yeah, Barry Sanders. Now they finally got a good year. Finally, I mean, after all these years, I mean, so I think in everyone's heart, they want Detroit to win for that reason alone. They don't have a ring in their history, and they got their first playoff win this year since 1991, well over 30 years, and never had back-to-back wins in the playoffs until now, I think. So this is crazy, but I don't know. I think I still gotta go. See, one of my friends at work is a big Michigan fan. We both cheer for the Wolverines for college, but he likes all Detroit teams, and I don't. I'm from Michigan, but I don't like Detroit teams. I grew up on Chicago. I think it's because I migrated down to Indiana and I started watching Chicago. I watched Chicago Bears. I watched, Walter Payton. I watched, Jim McMahon, all those guys. Those are my guys in the mid '80s when I was a kid growing up. Most of us being '80s kids probably. So yeah, I don't like Detroit for a reason. So, but I am happy for their franchise. Just don't cheer for
Yeah.
Detroit teams in any sport. So I'm going with San Francisco. Yeah, I think their offense is just too much. Even if their Debo Samuels is out, they still have George Kittle. They still got Christian McCaffrey. They still have Brandon Ayuk. They still got other receivers that they could throw in there. Jennings always seems to step up big whenever one of these guys gets hurt. He gets hurt. So
Yep.
I think they got too much. Their defense is nasty. They might be weak on the run, but man, they still are nasty. Bosa's nasty. They got that guy. What's the guy's name that came from the Washington Commanders? Was the old Ohio State, defensive
Chase
end.
Young.
What's that?
Chase Young.
Chase Young. Thank you,
Yeah.
man. Like they got him. Their linebacking core is really good. They have a good safety. Yeah, I think San Francisco's just going to pull it out, but it will be close. I'm predicting I say it'd be 27-24 San Francisco. That's my prediction.
All right.
And then obviously next week we could talk about the Super Bowl. We'll see if we're right. So I think to cap it off, most of us are saying it's going to be San Francisco and is it KC in the Super Bowl or the other? What we all got mostly?
I
I
think
think
most of it's San Francisco, Baltimore.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
most of us are San Francisco, Baltimore. Me and Dave pick KC. The rest of you guys pick Baltimore.
Baltimore.
and almost all of us, I think all of us across the board picked San Francisco except
No, I got Detroit.
so
I got
Dave with another
Detroit.
bold
Hey,
prediction. So we'll be talking about your prediction next week, Dave.
Yeah. Well, hey, just keep in mind, 49ers are in since Debo's been in the NFL, 49ers are 8-9 without him. So
That's a good point. Wow, good stat.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's another great show, gentlemen. Thanks for joining.
Good job. Good
Another
job.
great show. Good job, everyone. Brandon, good job on your first show.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah, in closing, before I pass it off to you guys for closing, yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Leave comments if you agree or disagree with us, like Monty always says. You know, like leave comments. You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with us. We don't get butthurt if you say something you think we're crazy on something. I say a lot of crazy things, and I'm a Cowboys fan, so that just tells you right there. So you can say whatever you want. You got. But thanks for watching. You got anything in closing, Monty?
No, you pretty much covered it, man. Anybody out there watching, we welcome it. Ideas, we're open. We're open. Appreciate the support.
What about you, Kevin?
The only thing I've got is one little pitch is for anybody that enjoys watching sports, high school, peewees, college, pros, reach out to your local officials association and try to sign up and learn the game.
Okay. Yeah.
Well done, Kevin. Yeah,
well done.
that's the best decision I made 2 years ago is becoming an official. I love it. I love it, man. I never thought I'd be an official, and me and Brandon are both just finished our second years, going into our third year. So good job, Kevin. Yeah, football fishing definitely changed the way I look at the game for sure. What about you, Dave? We got to close with.
Just appreciate being invited to the show. You know, and
Yeah.
nice meeting you, Monty. And
Yes, sir.
So yeah, it's been fun.
What about you, Brandon? Good job on your first show, brother.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully I'll be back here next week and we'll talk about those predictions we all had. Excited for it.
Yeah. I hope we all bash Dave. No, just kidding.
I hope I'm wrong about Dave. I want the Lions to win.
No, I think that's right. We all want the Lions to win. We're just all picking that San Francisco's going to be too tough. But I do want the Lions to win in my heart, just since they've never been there before, man. So we'll see how that goes, man. I just hope all games are good, they're competitive, and we're not like bored because it's a 30-point game. So
next week, instead of eating crow, I can gloat when it's the Niners and the Chiefs, since I'm the only one who picked that combo.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, I thought you picked the Lions, Dave.
I did, the Lions and the Chiefs.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I got the Chiefs.
I'm the only one who picked
I got
that
the Chiefs
combo.
in San Francisco. Yeah, so yeah, and you guys got Chiefs in Baltimore. So, all right. Well, that's it. But thanks again, gentlemen. I'll see you guys next week. I'm gonna stop recording here.